Video, I'm going to be comparing the Paddington franchise to the I Am Legend franchise. The reason for that is because in part one of this series, when I compared the Paddington movies to the Dolphin Tale movies, Paddington 1, when I compared the I Am Legend franchise to the Honey, I Shrunk the Kids franchise, I Am Legend 1. So now I'm going to be comparing Paddington and I Am Legend. When you look at highest score for each franchise, Paddington 2 has a 99%, whereas with I Am Legend, this version called Last Man on Earth with Vincent Price has a 79%. When you look at lowest score, the first Paddington movie has a 97%, whereas with the I Am Legend franchise, this movie called Omega Man with Charlton Heston only has a 65%. When you look at average score, I Am Legend has an average of 70, whereas Paddington has an average of 98. Then when you look at gap between lowest and highest score, well, this one's not even close, because of Paddington, the gap's literally only 2%, whereas with I Am Legend, you have a gap of 14%, which actually, admittedly, isn't that much higher than 2%. So actually, this one is close, but still Paddington has won every round so far, so it's going to be winning this debate. And I would definitely say the Paddington franchise is superior. I think that it's been more consistent than I Am Legend. One of the things that makes the Paddington movies so fun to watch, it's so easy to watch, is that they don't feel cynical at all. They don't feel jaded at all. There's very much a wholesome nature to these movies, a sweetness to them. Our main character, Paddington the bear, is just so likable and endearing because you can tell that he's just a kind hearted creature who is pure, innocent, has no kind of nefarious intent at all. He just wants to make other people happy, and in fact, he makes the lives of people around him better. Even in Paddington 2, when he is wrongfully accused of committing a crime he didn't commit, when he is framed and thus goes to jail, he actually makes the best out of that situation and in fact turns the prison into this fantastic place that ensures everyone gets a lot of food. Previously, we see that, oh, the food's not very good in this prison. But then Paddington goes into the jail and then he ends up talking with the chef, and thus the food that leads to the food suddenly getting a lot better and thus everyone becoming a lot happier. And the prison just becomes this fantastic place. And also, the Brown family is fun to watch in these movies as well. You get emotionally invested in those characters. They're likable, they're compelling. I think the visuals of both Paddington movies are really well done. The writing is really good. The story is engaging in both movies, and I can't think of anything wrong with either movie, to be honest. Whereas when it comes to I Am Legend, I would say that when you look at Last Man on Earth with Vincent Price, one big thing that stands out to me, which does make the movie feel dated, is that when you think about it, Vincent Price doesn't have to work very hard to defeat the zombies. I mean, the zombies are not some big threat to him. They seem pretty incompetent. All Vincent Price really needs to do is push them a little bit, and then they're out of the way. He doesn't have to worry about them much anymore. When I think about the movie Omega Man with Charlton Heston, when you think about the explanation it gives for what's going on with the zombies, it just gets weird and strange. I don't think that has really aged too well. I overall enjoy the Will Smith version of the story, the one that came out in 2007. In regards to how it compares to the book, which I have not read, based on a video that I've watched, it seems to me like, okay, the movie doesn't really stack up that well against the book, sure, but it still definitely has a lot more to offer when compared to Omega Man as well as The Last Man on Earth. I think that there's emotional moments that really hit hard, especially when the dog Sam dies. Oh, that is so sad because this was not some random stray dog. This was his pet. This is Robert Neville's pet that actually was given to him by his family, by his wife and daughter before they died. So Sam served as a reminder of the family that he lost. And then Robert Neville loses Sam. And that moment where Neville goes back to that store where all the mannequins are, the mannequins that he has projected names and personalities onto in order to cope with his own loneliness, he goes up to one of these mannequins because earlier on he was talking to Sam while the two of them were walking around in the city, and Neville had promised that he would talk, quote unquote, talk to this one mannequin. So after Sam tragically dies, Neville goes into that store, starts talking to the mannequin. The scene does a great job of just showing you how broken Neville really is. Will Smith does a great job of putting the emotion in Neville's voice. You can hear him breaking down as he's just desperately pleading for this mannequin to talk to him. In fact, for just like 2 seconds, it seems like the mannequin's eyes might actually be moving. It's a really subtle little thing, but it's a good visual way of communicating that maybe Neville's starting to go a little bit crazy because of how lonely he really is. I think that there are good aspects about Omega Man as well as The Last Man on Earth, but overall, I definitely think the Paddington movies have been more consistent. They're both films that are just easy to rewatch, I would say. They're very different from Killers of the Flower Moon, for example, which is a fantastic movie, but inherently not as rewatchable because it's very somber. Whereas Paddington is not. These are fun, lighthearted, entertaining, family fantasy movies where you have bears that talk and you have Paddington the bear who's so likable that even when he's messing things up, you can't stay mad at him because you know that he's not trying to cause any trouble. It's totally unintentional on his part. It's so heartwarming too that even when he goes to prison because of a crime he didn't commit, he makes the prison better. In fact, is still kind and polite to his fellow prisoners, actually. So I'm a big fan of Paddington movies. And I like I Am Legend as well, but not to the same degree. They'll wrap things up for this video.